Today's guest, Diana Zimmerman, is literally a living legend. She enchanted audiences from age 8 and paved the way for magical women inspiring future magicians. Diana the Enchantress earned the title the world's foremost lady magician with a career that spanned over 25 years on stage and on television. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. In addition to her own magic show and successes on stage with her own show, in 1974, Diana created the Junior Magicians Club at the Magic Castle, and she remains an active member to this day. She mentors magicians, has authored magic books, she lectures, and has created magic and illusions that have been performed by the biggest stars in magic. Diana exited in 1984 as graciously as she entered it. Since that time, she's launched her own multi-million-dollar communications companies and authored a successful teen book series. Diana is a role model for success in everything she aspires. I am so excited and so grateful to have Diana as our special magical guest today. Could you please tell us a little bit about you and how you became involved in magic?
Well, I studied magic when I was 8 years old, and for me, magic was my escape from poverty. It was the way that I was very poor as a child. I mean, when I was 5 years old, we were picking cotton so we could eat, literally, so my family could eat in 118-degree weather in Phoenix, Arizona. And I've always loved fantasy and magic. My friend and I, we needed to raise some money, so we thought, well, let's have a circus, but we couldn't afford lions and tigers. So we decided that we needed a magician. And nobody ever told me at that time that girls didn't do magic. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was a boy's profession because I was never raised that way. And we went down to Bert Easley's magic shop in Phoenix, Arizona. And Bert was behind the counter and he was producing coins out of the air. And I looked at that and I went, wow, any profession that can make money that easy, that's what I want to do. So I walked home with one little 50-cent magic trick where you put a little cover on a penny and it turns into a dime. I was so excited. I thought, I'm going to have lots of dimes now. What I didn't realize is you also have to have the dime. So I went out and collected more Coke bottles. But I fell in love with the art, and that's how it started.
You set a precedence for women coming forward in the future. So it's really important. It's an accomplishment that nobody had achieved at that point in time. And so you mustn't diminish it.
I mean, I've had, thousands of articles written, and so, it was really great. And, and I became the #1 lady magician of the world.
It was in 1974 that you actually came up with the concept of this society for junior magicians. And it was with Cary Grant. So can you tell the viewers a little bit about that? Because my goodness, that's amazing.
It's very, very important to get that. When I first got to the castle, I realized there was no way for kids to be involved. And remember, I'm 18 at this time. I kept talking to Bill Larson about it, and he'd say it's a great idea, but this is a nightclub. No. So one night in 1974, in January of 1974, I'm sitting at the bar, as I often did, talking to Cary Grant. And we became pretty good buddies at that point. And he said, "You name God." He always called me God. He said, "It's a shame there's no way for young kids to be involved in the castle." And I said, "Cary, I've been trying to get a youth program going for 4 or 5 years." And he goes, "You come with me." Now, Cary took me by the hand and marched me into the Houdini seance room, which is where they have the board meeting. Cary says, he announced it like Cary Grant, Diana has an idea, and I think it's a good one. And then he goes like this, and I'm like, I'd like to start a youth program. And I went into this whole pitch all over again. And then I beelined out. Cary comes running out 5 minutes later, literally running out there. Diana, they're going to let us do it. They're going to let us do it. We held auditions at the Old Troopers Club. They wouldn't let us do it at the castle, but at the Old Troopers Club. And by the end of March, we had our first Magic Castle Junior meeting. And we had 50 kids in. Rick Werber was our first member. And Dirk Arthur was a member, Mark Kalin was a member, and some amazing kids. And then Milt let us do our Moments of Magic show at the old Mayfair Music Hall, which was a beautiful variety place that he had for a while. And then we did it over at the Variety Arts Theater. And then later it turned into Future Stars of Magic. But we've had over 3,000 kids go through the program. We produced we produced 3 world champions and I don't know how many dozen, local and international champions.
That's just a remarkable story. And you continue to mentor new magic talent. Is that correct?
I'm still on the committee. Yeah. Yeah. Collins Key, who now has 21.5 million sponsors. He was one of my proteges. And I designed 6 of the 8 tricks that he did on America's Got Talent. So, still designing magic.
Collins Key is a magician and mentalist who holds the distinction to be the youngest magician ever to be a finalist on America's Got Talent. He's also an actor, a host, and a brand ambassador, and he's only 24 years old. His career has evolved from stylized creative magic and mentalism to a 21 million viewer plus YouTube channel that broadcasts anything entertaining with zany antics, pranks, skits, and crazed character content, along with his brother, Devin. That success has launched him into brand representation and promotion, his own clothing line, game endorsements, and more. His career is a remarkable, soaring series of successes, for which he graciously attributes Diana Zimmerman, who mentored and coached him from a young man at the Junior Magic program at the Magic Castle to the present. Collins is here today to share some of his experiences with Diana. Welcome, Collins. I am so thrilled you're here today.
I met Diana actually in the junior program at the Magic Castle. And for me, I joined when I was 13. That was such a formative kind of years growing up and being able to have those monthly meetings. And I met Diana at one of those meetings. And she very much had an air of she was very, very important at those meetings. And you knew the way that people interacted with her and spoke with her. She had an enormous amount of respect from all the different junior members as well as the other members as well. And I remember going up to her one time, super nervous, just kind of talk with her and see what she did. And I remember kind of maybe hoping to walk away from either learning a magic trick or I don't know, getting some insight like that. And instead, she recommended that I read a book called Positioning, which is all about brand building and about really making sure that you market yourself properly, which for a 13-year-old was mind-blowing when I was just focused on doing card tricks. I was like, what is this idea of this branding and positioning? And thoroughly enjoyed it, thoroughly dove into it. And Diana really became my first mentor. And in the capacity that she mentored me was really incredible. But it was just a kind of a step-by-step process of her continually introducing new ideas.
Yeah, and she really does know about branding.
Oh, yeah.
And now, how did she contribute to your magic? Are you using any of the effects that she suggested in your performances?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So basically everything that you saw on America's Got Talent, Diana had a very large direct impact on. And even the first trick that I actually performed, where I made a dollar bill teleporting inside of a bag of chips, and that was really kind of that was I guess you could say my big break was that appearance on America's Got Talent. And that was a piece of magic that Diana had developed, and she basically gave me as here, let's just say this. The trick that I was going to do for my first audition of America's Got Talent, it would have been probably never even seen on TV, and I probably wouldn't even have a career at this point. But Diana was like, you are not doing that trick. That is a horrible idea. And instead just gifted me this beautiful piece of magic, walked me through all the nuances of it, how to perform it. And I mean, that piece of magic alone has definitely become one of my signatures in terms of performances, not only on that show, but then moving forward. And then from there, of course, literally every single act that was on America's Got Talent, she can probably tell you stories of 4 a.m. We're giving her a call going, Diana, we're in New York. It's in the morning. We got to figure this out. We got this new trick. And it was a week by week thing for us on the show. And so, yeah, Diana's had an enormous impact on the different pieces.
If I understand correctly from other performers that have done America's Got Talent, it changes moment to moment, and you have to be very skilled and able to adapt.
Well, plus in my season, we had a 90-second time limit, where if you went over 90 seconds, you were done. I think they've kind of eased up on that in the future for magic acts, but it was basically taking it and just laboring over every little word of do we need this word over this word? Because in the first ones, it's one thing where they can, of course, edit it together. So it's a little bit less, you have to be like less word precise. But when you get to the live shows, it's a live 90 seconds where you have to nail it. And so, yeah, no, Diana was, but even again, like not just even on that show, she wasn't just helping with the magic side of it. It was also on the branding side and the positioning side and the marketing of how do we really maximize this opportunity that we have. So.
Right. Yeah. And well, you have a fabulous mentor.
Oh my gosh, the best.
What would you say the most remarkable skill that you have that you attribute to Diana?
I really think that it comes down to always taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture of everything and really understanding it from that long-term perspective. I think that one of the most valuable things that she shared with me was, she said, like for me specifically, you don't want to be a magician with a personality. You want to be a personality who does magic. And that idea of really getting the audience invested in who you are personally more than the actual craft of the magic has really applied kind of in everything that I've done, like even now with YouTube. Like I'm not doing any magic on my YouTube channel, but it's all personality-based stuff. So whether I'm making like a 15-foot pizza or filling a pool with 10,000 pounds of slime or whatever the crazy stuff it is that we're doing on the YouTube channel, it still is based on personality first instead of just the big stunt or whatever the crazy thing is that we're doing. And I think that was something that really kind of blew my mind, because initially I was thinking it was all about the trick. Like what is the trick I'm going to do? But Diana's whole thing was, no. Allow people to connect with you. And then from there, they'll fall in love with the magic that you do, and just continually deepening that personal connection that you can build with the audience.
Right. I agree. Yeah. That's fabulous advice. I think you've nailed it. Thank you so much for being here and this amazing insight into Diana and what a fabulous mentor she is. And we really appreciate your time. This was just
absolutely
wonderful, and continued success, because
thank you.
You are on a one-way ticket up. It's just amazing.
Thank you so much. I love that you're doing this with Diana, because she has been, again, so instrumental, not just for me, but so many other young magicians. Like, I think that's when you talk about her legacy, her performances and what she was able to do as a performer is incredible, but the legacy that she's left as a mentor for me and so many of those others at the junior program, it's really, it's incredible what she's done.
You actually physically created original magic that people are using in their shows today. Can you please share with the viewers some of the effects that you've created and the magicians that are currently performing them or have performed them? Because it's remarkable.
Well, in the early days of the Copperfield specials, my ex-husband and I developed a number of tricks for David to do. The floating mirror ball that David did in his show was actually mine, and I actually built that trick. I actually invented that. But the trick I think that is probably the most famous, and then the vertical stretching, that was my invention. And of course, the gramophone, big gramophone trick that Lance Burton did in his show for years, that was my invention. But I think the one that is probably the most famous, that my ex-husband gets the credit for, but I actually invented it, and he actually finally agreed to give me the credit for, is the VIP prediction trick, which is where you do the prediction in the tube. I was looking for a way to make the envelope switch, where you step up on a chair and switch the envelope behind the chair. I was looking for a way to make that much stronger and a much better trick. So I was at my favorite magic store, which is Home Depot, and I was looking around, and I saw these tubes that you use to like send up, for banks used to use. So I went home and I made one out of acetate, and I said, and John Gahn built the first table for that. Then you bring it out in a big tube. So that became the VIP prediction trick. And they've made some terrific improvements on it, but I invented it.
Fabulous. We've had other guests that have invented magic. And one of the points that's consistent is that when you are the creator of a piece of magic, what your original idea and how it ends up as the final product, there's quite a process that goes through. It's never, the first idea is never what you end up performing on stage, but only the inventor, only the people that participated in that process understand why you're doing what you're doing and why it was modified. And so when someone just buys a piece of magic, they present the piece of magic, but they don't have that extra information that you have because you created it.
That is so wise, and you put that so beautifully. It is so important, and most magicians don't understand it. Magic has a soul. All art has a soul. Even the tricks that I've invented that have been sold to other magicians, they don't have the same soul as when I did them. And I'm not saying that out of vanity. if you take Kevin James with the floating rose, lots of people do the floating rose. It's a magnificent, it's one of the prettiest tricks in magic, one of my favorite tricks. But when Kevin does it, it's one of the top tricks in the world. That floating rose is that. I mean, it's a great trick. It's a great plot. It's well thought out. It makes sense.
No, I agree. Remember to subscribe and comment below.